Hello, everyone. I think I'm gonna maybe check if I can play. We tried it and it worked, so we'll see. If it doesn't work, I can adjust. But anyway, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk. And it's so lovely to see the room so full. Actually, it's more than usual, I feel. So I was asked to share something about my recent experience, which was quite deep. And some of you heard maybe some part of my story, but I have new information I didn't share yet. And for those who didn't know, I hope you'll maybe get to know me a little bit better. And yeah, I hope my story might be inspiring. So I was in Korea twice this year, actually. First was in April. More of us were there in April. And then my second time was in October, actually 2 weeks ago. And great. But this time I didn't travel because of our church activities or workshops. But this time I actually traveled with my university studio. So for a little bit of context, for those who maybe don't know me as much, I studied design in Prague. And usually you study in this smaller group of people, so you come quite close together and you work on different projects. And when I entered my university 7 years ago, I already finished my university, just for the information, but 7 years ago I started. And my studio teachers, they told us, now we are going to work hard and we are going to do a lot of commercial projects, so we can have a culture trip to Japan. And that they told us 7 years ago. So throughout my university, we did a lot of projects, and a lot of them were commercial, which means we collaborated with like a company. So it was not only like academic themes. It was not only like do art and do whatever you want. It was company came, they gave us a task, and we did that, which I personally enjoyed, but not all people like that so much. So it may have been difficult for some people, but I think it was fun. But thanks to these collaborations, the studio gained money, and we were promised the trip to Japan. That never happened. So it was perhaps, there was a COVID also. My studio teachers, they have busy lives, so it was not always possible. But after 6 years of me studying there, I left and I had to push a tear in my eye and be like, okay, trip didn't happen. But suddenly, this September, I received an email from one of our teachers, and he said, oh, we are going to Korea. And I was like, what? I didn't expect that, partly because I already finished the university, so I'm not a student technically, but also, 6 years of waiting, you give up the hope a little bit. But was it a coincidence that we went to Korea? Maybe it may sound, but because my teachers chose this date, October, and it was expensive to go to Japan in October for some reason. So they're like, you know what, let's just go to Korea. And I was like, whoo, okay. And I must say it was a beautiful trip, but it was also challenging, and I'm gonna share about my challenges. Mm-hmm. And so one of the challenges was actually that when Sweden is a little bit different, but it's maybe similar. But in Czech Republic is very atheistic country. Like people don't believe in God, people don't talk about religion, and if you do, you are a little bit weird. People, like the society is a little bit like, there's something weird about you. So throughout my whole studies, I never really shared about my faith or about my beliefs. Like people kind of knew I believed in God, but nobody ever asked me, like, so what do you believe in especially? Like, people knew that, like, I didn't drink alcohol. I was always the one who left the parties first and stuff. So people kind of knew, but not really. And wow, this trip was the opportunity to talk about it. Because people knew that I was in Korea. And people asked me, so when were you in Korea? And I'm like, 2019 to 2020... 2021, and people are like, what? why? So I had to be like, well, let me tell you. And I overcame my fear, and I shared with people who were actually curious. So people asked me, and I said, yeah, I believe I'm in this religion, and like the founders are from Korea, and people are like, interesting. So some people were actually curious and asked me more, and some people not. So I shared with those who were interested, and it was very strong experience for me, because it was something, you know, I've been holding back a little bit for the past 6 years at the university, and I heard, like during my studies, I heard many different opinions. So for example, my studio teachers, like I remember one time clearly, we talked about religion, and one of my teachers, he was like, I don't get it, I don't understand how people can believe in something. And I'm like, uh, so like these opinions kind of implanted this, that like I can't be open. But this time I shared, and the teacher was like, huh, interesting. And I was like, interesting also, indeed. So that was very, very great. So what we did in Seoul was the culture trip. So we did around and traveled and saw some cool architecture, cool exhibitions, more architecture, and some walks in Seoul. And I'm really grateful for the experience, because anytime I traveled to Seoul before, it was always just for like workshops or like some church events. I went to World Summit 2020, so that was great. But I never had the time to actually like explore Seoul. So I must say Korea is a beautiful country, and Seoul is a very interesting city. So this picture was quite inspiring. The second one on the Zoom, like, is this the third one? It's a Presbyterian church, and it's as you can see, very cool architecture, and the interior was also quite interesting. And I was like, oh, like we should have also like modern architecture churches, so people are go there and visit that and be like, woo, cool architecture. So it was a little bit, I enjoyed that also from this perspective, as it's my niche kind of, or field of studies. Yes, however, I was in Korea this time, and I couldn't left Korea without visiting some other places. So I prepared, actually, Peter helped me to choose this Hundoke because it fits to what I wanted to talk about a little bit. So I want to share these words. The entire world is watching the Unification Church and the and the Reverend and Mrs. Moon. Many people are curious about Mrs. Moon and how she is taking the recent turns of events. Also, they are wondering if the Unification Church is now shattered into pieces and destroyed. But on the contrary, under these difficult circumstances, the Unification Church has found itself most powerful. If Mother sheds tears, they are not the tears of tragedy or defeat. They are the tears of unity, tears of bringing hope to the future. And this speech, maybe somebody recognized, but it's from the homework we got to read, the speech of True Father when he was released from Danbury prison. That was, 1984. And I think it's a very powerful quote, and it fits a little bit to the age we face now. And it's that our Hak Jae-han Moon is also now in detention because of the situation in Korea, which I wanted to share about a little bit. Because one of the days, among walking through Seoul and seeing architecture, I also separated from the group and went to to visit True Mother in Detention Center. I mean, I couldn't personally visit her, but I could visit the place. And I thought maybe it would be interesting for me to share with you, because you hear about it, you hear the news, you join Chonchimwon and you see all these videos, but being there and seeing the place and feeling the atmosphere, it was really something else. So the detention center, oh, I see there are two now, but the detention center is the bottom one where our true mother is, and it's a little bit outside of Seoul, so it was a little bit adventure to get there. I got lost, but I finally got there, and this is a picture from Google Maps. But as you can see, the detention center is quite big. Maybe doesn't look like on the picture, but it was huge. So I got lost twice, and once I arrived somewhere here, and then I had to walk around the whole thing, and that let me get me to reflect a little bit about the whole situation. And I felt like I was not really connected it too much, because like I heard the news, and like of course it's something that doesn't happen, and it was crazy, but I never really like felt it. And now when I was walking around the whole center, I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. It's not something that happens on a screen on Zoom. So our community, we have a spot right there, and that's where the vigil prayers are happening, or the reports. So I went exactly there, and maybe this shows the size more, like the small spot there, and then when you zoom in, it's like so small compared to the whole complex. So when I went there, I felt so small. I felt like, I don't know how to describe the feeling, but yeah, maybe I just felt small compared to the whole thing. Yeah, so when I went there, actually, it was, I think, second to the day before the last day of me leaving Korea. Does it make sense? Like 2 days before I left. And I felt a little bit guilty for not going there sooner, because it's important, and like I wanted to pray and I wanted to show my support. But because I was there with the studio, I couldn't really, maybe I could separate it and be like, adios, I'm doing my own stuff. But we were walking together as a group, and I felt like maybe I shouldn't separate somehow, because I wanted to connect with to share about the church and connect with my peers and my teachers. So I stayed the first few days with the group, and then when I felt like, oh yeah, now it's a little bit more relaxed, I can separate. So I went there, and I felt guilty about it. I was like, oh, I should have come the first day or the second day to like show I'm really determined. But here, it told me, like God told me, like, nope, you were supposed to come on this day, because that day I went there actually. This was not planned. But first of all, the community of Monica, I don't know who, maybe some of you know her, but she's from Czech, and she lives in Korea now for 10 years, more 15 years, something like that. So I don't see her much, but I know her growing up. So she was there that day, and I'm like, wow, this was meant to happen, because she's not there every day. And also the Peace TV staff was there. So I was like, nice. So I was we were only 2 white people there, and she is kind of Korean now, and I'm like, yes. So you probably saw me on the news. Yeah. Yes. So that was meant to happen, like not me meant, but their meant. Yes, so that was interesting. So I was like, okay, I don't feel as bad about it now. And I wanted to share with you maybe the place, how it looks like, because you see only like a small fragment on Peace TV or Zooms. And so I made some videos, so because I felt like I wanted to share with you guys how the place looks like. So I also have some commentary. Hello everyone, I just arrived to the detention center close to Seoul, where our True Mother is held, and I must say the atmosphere here is very difficult, and there is a lot of I don't know, there are many people here, and there are people also not only from our community but also from other religious groups. You know, the other, I forgot their name, I apologize, but the other religious leader who was imprisoned, I just spoke with the lady. And then there is like a permanent stand for their former president, who was also imprisoned by the Communist Party here in Korea. So this was a picture of the other demonstrating group. Basically, you cannot go to the detention center like inside, but you can. Our stand is like outside. So this is the main gate there, and there were a lot of policemen that were standing there. Like they just left when I started to film it, but there were maybe 6 policemen like standing there like the whole time like this, and like watching the people whoever came there. So it felt quite intimidating, and. So there is also a place where they demonstrate for their former president, who was also in prison, and this is a permanent kind of Chonchuma, and that's where the everyday's visual prayer are happening. Yes. So we have like a permanent small car there with like a screen that like is projecting videos, and then we have the tents and the chairs, and every day there is different community. And also here in front of the detention center's gate there are other people who are demonstrating. So this is a person, and there was one more lady from the different Christian group whose pastor was also imprisoned. Yes. So when I pointed, this is a person, I don't know what happened there, but I spoke with the person, and it was a very interesting conversation. So I will share about it on the next slide, maybe. Yes, this was just the Chonchum. So anyway, I know what I was saying here. So basically every day there is different community from Seoul and around Seoul who came there and had the vigil prayers. So there's vigil prayer happening every day. And now I have a little bit like a short videos from the vigil prayer. So it was about an hour. So basically there were many speeches, like people were talking about the situation or about her mother. There was some singing, and then at one moment there was this chanting where I'm not sure what it translates, maybe yes. Again, sorry? Victory. So it says victory. So it was chanting for like, people can hear it, and it was quite powerful. Like when all the big group of people is chanting victory in Korea. I didn't understand, but it still was powerful. Like I could feel that like people are really trying their best with the chants. Yeah, so I didn't film a long time, but this was some of the singing. So there were also young people who joined the whole group, and then they came and sang some songs, which was very beautiful. And there was a lot of emotions and stuff. Then there were a lot of speeches in Korean, and there was no English translation. But I felt like I really want to be there to just support the situation and like sit through it. And at one point, like there was, I think it was the president, like regional president of Seoul, or the Seoul area, and he was sharing something, and I was like, I want to understand, like I want to know what he's talking about, because it took an hour, you know, and when you sit and you don't understand anything, it's a little bit like, you got this. So I took out my phone and I opened my Google Translate and I pressed the recording, you know, and then this was what it caught. So I was like, maybe not. Oh yes, I had to, yeah. So, so I almost started laughing. I was like, this is so serious, but I can, like I was, yeah. And I was sitting in the first row, so the person was talking, and I was like, yes. Yeah, it was funny. And now there's the person I mentioned in the video. So before the vigil prayer started, I went towards the gate, and there were these people like demonstrating, and I thought then they're from our church, because it was like around the same area. So I stand there, I was a little bit looking around, I was looking at the guys, and I was praying, and then this lady was next to me with like a flag and doing this. And then at one moment I wanted to ask her like what, because she had a Korean and American flag, and I'm like, I was curious why. So I approached her, and she's like, yeah, hi. And then she looked at me and she's like, are you from, and she pointed at our tent and the chairs. And I was like, yeah, I'm second gen. And she's like, oh. And like she started to like ignore me a little bit. And I was like, oh, probably not from our church. and then I kind of like, I opened my heart. I felt like I really want to talk to her. So I was like, so what, why are you demonstrating here? Like, what are you, like, why you have American flag and stuff? And we had a very beautiful conversation. She told me that she's from the other Christian group. So that's why she was like, and she was supporting their pastor, because he's also in the detention center. And then she started to explain me the whole situation, and I just said that like, I really feel for you, I'm really sorry that this is happening. And then she explained that the whole thing is happening because in Korea there is a little bit like political, I guess, shift or battle, and there is like a communist party. And then she told me like there are finance from the Chinese government to like turn Korea into communist country. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm from Czech Republic and that was communist country. So we had a very beautiful conversation. And then in the end, like there was a moment where she kind of like accepted me, and she said, because you know I showed her love for Korea and for like the nation, and she said that like I hope like Hak Cha Han Moon also gets out, and I will pray for you, and it was like really beautiful moment, because she didn't like me in the beginning because I was from Family Federation, and then she said, I will pray for you. I said, I will pray for you too. And we took a picture. And actually, I'm not sure. Yeah. And then I left a little bit. I started to record the videos because I wanted to share it with the community. And then she came to me, and then she came to me, and then she was like, have you eaten? And I said, no. And she gave me the mochi cakes. And I was, it was so beautiful. I didn't take a picture, but you can see it here in the video. So that was a very beautiful moment, and I felt like, like how Bible or True Father always says, like you have to love your enemy, and then they will eventually like love you back. That happened kind of, and I felt that was a really beautiful moment. Yes. And then back to my challenges in Korea. So one of the, so I came to the detention center, and I told you there was a Peace TV stuff, and I was the only white person there. So they were like, can we interview you? And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually did 2 different interviews, because there was also one second gen who is filming for like Instagram of our Family Federation. So like I did 2 interviews. And it was nice. And at that moment, like there I'm crying because it was also emotional, and I got a headache, and I was like tired, and I was like, yeah, I really felt it. And I'm really grateful that I could be there and share some words. And when I was researching the Hoondoke for the Sunday service, I found like a whole document with True Father speeches from the Danbury prison, and this was a postcard. This was in there, and I thought it's beautiful, and it kind of fits. So it says, I'm honored that I could serve time in Danbury to protect religious freedom sincerely in Christ, Son Myung Moon. So I feel like even our Hak Cha Han, like our true mother, is in prison, and it's for some maybe higher purpose. So let's keep praying, and let's hope for the best outcome. Yes. So you know how I told you I had to overcome challenges. So, and sometimes, sometimes God wants you to do something, and you don't do it. So God will put you in a situation where you have to do it. So one of my fears was to share about my faith a little bit, and then we went to Korea with the whole studio, and I'm like, I can't not to share. So I prayed a little bit, and I had the inspiration that I really have to open up, and I have to take people to Cheongbyeong. And I did that. Wow. So we were as a whole group traveling, but then maybe in the middle of the whole trip, we separated in smaller groups, and we were traveling, like we went to see what we wanted. And this was my group. These are actually my really good friends from university. And they said, oh, we want to see some like nature. We want to see some like, I don't know, like Buddhist temple, like something, like outside of Seoul. And I was like, have you heard about Cheongbyeong? Of course not. But so I did, like, I told them, hey, I told you I'm from this religion, and like we have this like retreat center, and we have a temple, and we have like cool facilities, and it's in nature. And they were like, all right, let's go. So I took them there, and it was also a little bit difficult because I was in my head, I was a little bit worried. What are they gonna think about the palace? Like, what are they gonna think about, all the details that are in Cheongbyeong? And then they loved it. It was so beautiful. I've never been in Korea in autumn, and like you see all the colors, and this is some grass that was growing there. It was beautiful, and I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to actually take my friends to Cheongbyeong. So we went to the restaurant and then the tea house, and but my highlight of this whole trip and this day in Cheongbyeong was that I took my friend Clara to the Cheonshimwon prayer hall, and she prayed with me, and it was, it was beautiful. So, this is the story of God's 2-in-1, with me sending me to Korea and overcoming my fear with talking to people about my faith and visiting the detention center. And with that, I would like to conclude. Thank you so much for listening, and that's it for me.